proceedings is to conduct a thorough inquiry into this alleged EJ case. Bakit natin ginagawa ito? Ang tanong siguro ng iba, why are we conducting an inquiry into the deaths of alleged drug addicts or drug dealers? First, we must begin with the principle that each life is valuable, that each life lost is a profound tragedy. Second, we must point out that those who lost their lives, like every Filipino, are protected by the rights granted by the Constitution, one of which is due process. No? Alleged drug users and dealers po sila, di po sila na-convict, because these alleged EJK victims were silenced, they were denied their rights. Now, it is our responsibility to the victims of alleged extrajudicial killings and their families to seek the truth. So how will we conduct this inquiry? In this regard, we are committed to securing comprehensive information by listening to all sides and hearing the voices that must be heard. To the public, we would like to emphasize that the House will approach this inquiry with the impartiality, objectivity, sensitivity, and empathy that such a profound responsibility demands. And as chair of the House Committee on Human Rights, it is my duty and responsibility to ensure that this process is conducted with the utmost probity, fairness, and respect for all the parties involved. So itong ang recap ng aming briefing yesterday. So yes, they began the first steps of these proceedings. There were several briefings from individuals and organizations who shared data and information regarding the alleged EJ case that occurred during the previous administration's war on drugs. Aside from data and statistics, we were also provided with backgrounders on the possible legal issues surrounding the implementation of the war on drugs. The volume of information is considerable. And in the weeks to come, we expect more details from the resource persons who will be invited to the inquiry. We shall begin in earnest on Wednesday, May 22. Yun po yung first hearing namin. And what is the goal of this inquiry? Before wrapping up, allow me to reiterate the goal of this inquiry. Our purpose here is to seek the truth and not to pass judgment. That's not our goal. In the book of Isaiah, chapter 1, verse number 17, and I always quote verses like this because, you know, hindi lang po ako isang public servant, but also a bishop. The Lord says, learn to do well, seek judgment, relieve the oppressed, judge the fatherless, plead for the widow. Very clear po, nakalagay sa Bible, no? So these words call upon us to actively pursue justice and uphold human rights, to stand up for those who have been wronged, and to ensure that the rights of every individual are protected. Ulitin ko po, ang pakay natin sa inquiry na ito ay mapakinggan lahat ng panig upang malaman natin ang katotohanan. And by the grace of God and the support of my colleagues in the House, like my parang anak ko na to, si Congressman Alonto, we hope to accomplish this mission. Kaya't maraming salamat po at magandang araw po sa inyo lahat.
Thank you, sir. Pangsia?
Yeah, I just want to greet everyone. Good morning po. Magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat. And we're looking forward to your questions po.
Thank you. Let's hear the first question from Dick Sumintak of Net25.
Kung Benny, since natakal po ninyo regarding extrajudicial killings, especially of the past administration of President Digong, anong views po ninyo doon sa anti-drug war ng previous administration? Fake drug war ba yun o paano din? Nagresulta sa maraming reklamo ng human rights violations, especially the Oplan Tokhang, na nagbunga ng sinasabing mga extrajudicial killings.
Well, anyway, hindi ko nais sabihin na fake drugs war yon, no? Kundi ang pinakapunto ng aking committee is to be able to determine the human rights violation on these things. For example, like kahit yan, for example, mga drug pushers yan, no? Bakit hindi yan dumaan sa legal processes? Bakit hindi dumaan sa due process? Bakit biglang pinatayan, whatever it might be, sapagkat marami na tayong mga magulang that are actually complaining on this. So, ang talagang pinaka-issue dito ganito, ito man ay sinasabi ng ibang tao na fake drug war to o tunay na ito. Pero we'd like to find out, bakit maraming mga napatay? Bakit parang walang due process dito? Yan ang hinahanap namin sa Committee on Human Rights.
Sir, just a quick...
may-
Okay, sige.
Dadagdag ko lang po, bilang isa po sa mga vice chairs po ni Manong Benny, our chairman of the Committee on Human Rights, it's not actually the intention of the committee to prove whether the drug campaign in the previous administration was bogus or not. The contention, as explained very well by Manong Benny, the contention and the objective of the committee really is to find out whether in this country we still practice due process. Kung malakas pa po ba talaga ang ating prosesong legal pagdating dun sa mga issues na concerning, in this particular case, yung mga drug-related incidents. And that would also trickle down to the concern of whether these legal processes being exercised in the previous administration would also fall under the context of preserving human rights. So parang ganun po yung direction ng the committee po ni Manong Benny, the chairman of the Committee on Human Rights.
Just a quick follow-up. So what is your take regarding the actions or order of the President to create a special Committee on Human Rights Coordination to carry out the Administrative Order number 22, which aims to enhance the mechanism for the promotion and protection of human rights in our country?
Well, bilang chairman ng Committee on Human Rights, I commend the President for creating such super body. No? Siguro marahil ang gusto ko lang sabihin na sa ating mga mamamayan, hopefully that this super body to check on human rights will be more independent, no? Rather than maging ito'y bias in a way. So, we're also suggesting to the President, kung meron tayong mga legal luminaries, perhaps members of the judicial branch of government, to be included among those that will compose the human rights super body.
Para naman po sa akin, no, I think any effort that would improve the quality of the efforts of our government to preserve human rights of each individual citizen, to me, is a welcome development. No? Pangalawa, ito ay recognition ng ating Pangulo na siya ay binibigyan niya ng primacy, yung karapatan ng bawat tao. So, bawat Pilipino. So, I think it's a positive development, if you ask me, para po, in any case, kung saan man ang issue mapunta doon sa human rights, there will be coordinating body. Apart from having a commission on human rights, which is an independent body, then I don't see any reason why we should also support a creation from the other branch of government to probably, build more strong policies that would really strengthen and promote and uphold human rights in this country. Balikan ko lang po yung kaninang tanong, kung magpapatuloy po, and I think Chairman Benny Abante would like to really get into, comprehensively understand the cases involving the EJK in the previous administration, the committee, should it decides to conduct an inquiry, it would be in aid of legislation. Meaning, kung ano po yung mga lapses dun sa batas, sa mga polisiya po natin, para po ma-improve at ma-guarantee po na in the coming years, legal processes will be upheld, and protection of human rights would also be promoted and preserved. So in aid of legislation, trying to find out kung ano pang lapses and what can the committee recommend in order to strengthen these legal processes.
Are you done with your questions, Vic?
Vivian, related doon. Hindi, sige. Mauna muna siya.
Before Vivian, Vivian after Marian Enriquez from TV5. Marian, go ahead.
Good morning po, Kong. Sir, clarify lang po. Is this the first time po ba na mag-conduct po ang ating committee ng hearing about the EJK po ng past administration?
Yes,
Oh,
this is the first time.
I see.
So what we did was have a briefing muna, no, before we actually conduct a formal inquiry on this through a committee hearing.
Pero sir, bakit po ngayon lang natin naisip na, sige, i-tackle, deliberate na natin itong mga kaso po ng EJK of the past administration?
Well, we could have conducted it motu proprio, pero it is based on several resolutions that have been actually made by some of the congressmen. So, itong ating inquiry ay nababatay dun sa mga resolution na kanilang pinail, no, to conduct an inquiry on this.
So ngayon lang po na na-refer sa ating committee?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Marian. Vivian Gulia from ABS-CBN 2.
Good morning po. Dun sa investigation, yung inquiry on EJK, sino-sino po yung iimbitahin natin? Kasama po ba dito yung former PNP chiefs or the former president?
Yeah, thank you for that question. No? So, ngayon pinag-aralan po namin kung sinong talagang iimbitahan dyan. For example, like some of the victims, no? Pero hindi lahat po ng biktima we're going to choose, especially yung mga victim, yung mga magulang ng mga victims, ng mga minor, for example. And then we're going to invite, yes, that's true. We're going to invite the former, for example, like chief of the Philippine National Police that was actually involved in this, no, and perhaps the NCRPO command. And others in the cabinet of the former president.
To clarify lang po, if we can name si former President Duterte po ba ay iimbitahin din at si Senator De La Rosa?
No, hindi na po. I mean, I don't even think that if we invite them that we will be able to attend, no. Pero iimbitahan po namin yung talagang nandun. For example, like General Albayalde, no? Very much involved dyan. And perhaps we will also be able to invite the former DOJ Secretary, Minado Guevara, no? To shed light on some of these things.
Baka in addition po to what Manong Benny said, I think the House really gives primacy on the parliamentary courtesy principle, no? I think what you have mentioned earlier, you asked about those personalities, and Senator Bato is a sitting senator, so we maintain parliamentary courtesy.
Yeah, I think tama yung sinabi ni Congressman Alonto, no? We would like to maintain that courtesy, no, with the sitting senator and also with the former president. So, palagay ko, tama na yung imbitahan namin yung talagang very much involved in this. I think they can shed light to some of the inquiries we're going to have.
Thank you. Clay Padilla from PTV4.
Actually, nasagot na po. Pero, sir, sundan ko lang yung tanong ni Marian, since nga natapos na, what message do we want to provide or give to the public na kahit ba natapos na, parang the House is still willing to investigate and get the truth?
See, napakaraming tanong pa ang ating mga kababayan, no? And until such time that our people are actually questioning on these human rights issues, we cannot just be quiet about it. We must do our job in really determining, no, ang mga accusations tungkol dito. Particularly hanggang ngayon nasa media pa rin yung investigation ukol sa ICC, yung pa rin ang talagang binabanggit ng ating mga National Union of Lawyers, for example. So, hindi matatapos ito until such time that I believe that even Congress would be able to investigate on this in aid of legislation. Perhaps we could be able to find a common goal in which we could be able to put up a bill that will actually check on the abuses, no, alleged abuses and illegal arrest, for example, or yung mga bagay na nangyayari dito sa ating bansa as far as human rights violations are concerned.
In addition po to what Chairman Manong Benny said, actually the aim of the objective of the committee is not to prove culpability, no. It's actually to improve existing policies and laws. So parang ganun po yung ang focus po ng magiging committee, so that we may also be able to at least from the House of Representatives, to put a stop on the culture of killing and culture of impunity.
Thank you. May we recognize Rosalie Cas from UNTV.
Good morning po, Kongs. Do we also plan to invite former Senator Trillanes who filed complaint before the ICC regarding the anti-drug war of the former president?
Well, we thought about that, no. Inisip din natin yan, and siguro ang sagutan ko dyan, we'll just cross the bridge when we get there. Pero the thing is, naisip din namin na siguro imbitahan. We'd like to find out kung ano ba sinasabi, totoo ba to o hindi.
If we asked you, sir, about po dun sa yung pong usap-usapan kung dapat bang bumalik ang Pilipinas sa ICC o hindi, as the chair of the Committee on Human Rights, kayo po ba pabor na bumalik ang Pilipinas?
Well, I would like to support the President's intention na di bumalik ang ICC sa Pilipinas o ang Pilipinas bumalik sa ICC. Pero palagay ko naman na we should also listen to the others that would like the ICC to investigate, no. Ang tanong ko nga kay dating Secretary Menando Guevara, when we were discussing about that in a committee hearing, naniniwala siya na walang katotohanan ang accusation ng ICC. So kung walang katotohanan, well, why not invite them to come so we could be able to prove them wrong? Di ba? Yung mga bagay na ganyan. Because the thing is, sa akin, the international community would even believe the ICC accusations more than what the Philippines would be saying. So, in order to put a stop to this, so tinan natin maigi, baka, the thing is, maaaring whatever accusation the ICC has can be proven wrong.
Pero sir, ito, susimulan pa lang naman po yung investigation ng Committee on Human Rights. Pero if ever mag-reach out ang ICC sa magiging findings po ng inyong committee regarding dito sa extrajudicial killings, are you willing to share it with the ICC?
Well, pag-uusapan muna namin ng mga members ng committee yan because I will not only be the one to decide on that, but the rest of the committee members. So we'll talk about that more later on.
Thank you.
Well, I think you know the resolution that I filed concerning that, no. So ako, kasi naging problem na ito. It's always a naging problem to us. So why put a stop to it? Let the ICC be the one to investigate, find out if it's true or not, diba? Because a lot of accusations have been said, and we would like to stop the accusations once and for all.
Thank you. May we hear from Red Mendoza of Manila Times.
Hi po, good morning po Kong Benny and Kong Zia. Of course, you're saying nga po na you're going to investigate nga po yung EJ case. Pero the public opinion po is yung mga, lalo na sa mga biktima ng mga drug addicts, mga biktima ng mga drug cases, of course, they're saying na parang justified yung pagpatay sa mga drug addicts. Tapos yung nga po, yung sinasabi nga po na parang nagkukulang na raw po ng police presence na raw po sa mga lugar. So, how can you balance this out doon sa mga sinasabing, quote-unquote, napatay daw ng mga drug addict itong investigation sa EJK? So, ano po magiging ano nito? Kasi the public perception pa rin ng public is the drug war was justified kasi marami pong pinapatay ang mga drug addicts and drug pushers.
Well, gusto ko lang emphasize na we are of a country of laws and not of men. When you say justified, it could be subjective. It could be justified to one group, but it could be controversial to another. But ultimately, we have to really lay down the foundation of promoting legal processes, strengthening legal processes, especially if it involves questions on human rights violation. So, sabi ko nga po, we are the committee will never, I think it's not the committee's intention really, objective with due respect to Manong Benny, because this is going to be part of the discussion of the committee so that we can decide how to go forward. But it is not the intention of the committee to prove culpability because we are not a regular court. What we're trying to find out really is if there were violations in the law. Kasi may legal proseso po yan. Meron pong tayong korte, merong mga piskalya, meron pong we all know this, how the legal processes and the justice system really works. And kung may ganong rampant of killings in the streets as we have witnessed, of course we would like to ask, asan ba naglapse ang batas? How does our law enforcement agency exercise yung kanilang trabaho na nasa manual naman nila yan, kung paano mo huhulihin yung isang suspect, In fact, kung meron kang huling isang suspect, you are obligated to read him or her the Miranda doctrine, di ba? You're parang ganon. So it's about strengthening, improving existing policies. What went wrong? Saan dito? Because there are there are also complaints from the other side. So to give you a shorter answer, it's not for us to decide kung alin ang justified at alin ang kasi we are a country of laws and not of men.
Benny?
As I've said kanina, that the only purpose of the Committee on Human Rights is to be able to really find out the human rights violation on this, particularly because ang inaakusahan dito yung mga pulis natin di ba? Hindi naman ng mga ibang tao lang. So ginawa ba ng ating kapulisan ang dapat nilang gawin under the law tungkol sa mga bagay na ito, Tignan natin maigi kung ano ba talaga nangyari. Although we cannot pass judgment on this, but it is the duty of the House to the committee to actually investigate and know the truth about this.
Kongs, would you assure the police force na yung mga maimbitahan sa police na or the PNP na itong investigation na to is not going to be a witch hunt against them, pero it would be parang a study on how will they improve their process? Kasi baka maisipan din ng public na baka witch hunt ito laban sa mga pulis na sinasabing naging promoter daw ng EJK and could possibly lead to dissatisfaction among the police ranks kasi nga they're just doing their jobs.
Binanggit ko yan kahapon sa aming briefing. We would like to avoid witch hunting, no? Even those that have actually revealed yung mga naging biktima, we ask them to provide the data and proper documents. All right, para maiwasan natin na nag-accuse tayo na walang batayan. All right, that is what actually we're after.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions related to EJK? If not, let's move to another topic. Kim Salinas from Balitang A to Z. You're recognized.
Good morning po mga sirs. Questions lang sir kay Kong Benny, even though kung kay Kong Sia, if you can answer sir. Pasado na kahapon for second reading yung divorce natin bill at bilang isang bishop sir, alam naman na yung stand po ninyo. And anong reactions nyo lang po dito? And secondly, sabi ng makabayan kanina, nawa daw ihiwalay yung religious matters to this kind of usapin dahil ang pinag-uusapan naman dito ay yung kapakanan ng mga biktima nitong violence against their husband bilang nasa marriage. Go ahead, Sir Kong Benny.
Okay, naipaliwanag ko din naman to sa interpellation ko kay Congressman S. Lagman. For example, like, hindi natin pwedeng ihiwalay totally ang religious intonation dito. The fact that the preamble even states that, we're asking the help of Almighty God on this. So how can you separate that from any kind of religious tone kung dun mismo sa Constitution natin nakalagay yung Almighty God? See? Now, sa akin ganito, we do not want to promote the separation of couples. We do not want to promote the destruction of families, no? By putting divorce, samantalang meron naman tayong legal separation, meron tayong nullity of marriage, meron tayong annulment of marriage law. Siguro kinakailangan mo nating isipin maigi yan, tapos magkakaroon tayo ng divorce. Although pinapaliwanag po ni Congressman Lacban that we are giving all the options. So what options? I mean, darating ang panahon, dadami pa ang options na yan eh. So, ang pinakamaganda rito either you repeal the annulment of marriage law or you incorporate all of the provisions sa divorce bill doon sa annulment of marriage law. Para yun lang ating pag-usapan maigi.
Well, this is the beauty of Congress because we have diverse opinions and positions on matter relating to, to individual, not only national interest, but sa individual interest that would affect our lives. I think this is one of the this is the only issue, I guess, that Manong Benny and I differ in our position. No, Manong Benny is against the divorce law, while I am for divorce law. Sa tama po yung sinabi ni Manong Benny. I personally cannot separate my being a Muslim to the position that I would take, my religion, because it is in my core character. Precisely the reason why I voted yes, dahil in our religion we allow divorce because we see marriage as a social contract between two consenting adults. And the reason why I agree with the divorce is that it would make it easier for the legal processes to apply for annulment, the nullity of marriage, the absolute annulment under the family code, much easier and less costly for those who may avail of it. How I wish we would not have to talk about divorce. How I wish we don't need divorce law. But in reality, that's not the reality we're in. There are really couples who really have suffered, no? a bad and broken marriages. So sana hindi na nga natin kailangan ng nullity of marriage. Sana wala nang pag-uusapan ang absolute annulment, legal separation, and divorce. Pero hindi yun ang society natin. Hindi po yun ang realidad ng buhay. So for me, and this is just my personal view on and take, no. I see that as a way, kasi it's a social contract. Marriage is a social contract, solemnized by the religious order, whichever religion you belong to. And since it's a social contract bounded by legal processes, if there are problems along the way during the during the marriage years, then it should also be a legal processes for you to move out and to have your independent lives together. Ang akin lang po, ito po yung, I think, my personal take on this. I don't have mastery on the matter. I don't have the authority to speak about absolute annulment. But this is what I found out, no? For filing for absolute annulment, nullity of marriage, apart from the long process it takes, no, and the cost that it incurs to the couples to pay for the courts and their lawyers, sometimes when there's a final decision of the court, in effect parang saying na walang marriage na nangyari, as if the marriage never happened. But in the divorce, it recognizes that there was marriage, but something happened na hindi nga the marriage along the way is becoming worse and worse, no? So kaya para sa akin, isa yun sa malaking differences, acknowledging the problem and providing solution. Again, I fully respect the position of Manong Benny, and I really admire him standing during the debate. And this is part now of history, and I hope that we can learn from our experiences in the past, and hopefully we can solve our problems based on the current situation we are in right now. Thank you po.
Thank you, sir. Last questions in my end. So sabi ni Kong Arlene kanina, last Congress natin by 2018, 150 ang bumoto to the third and final reading. And Kong Benny, ganun din ba? Kaya bang mag-no ito, hindi maipasa to sa third and final reading, or talagang maipapasa ito before the sessions break?
I really do not know, no? Marahil talagang mas marami ang mga colleagues ko na kakampi sa divorce bill. Sa akin lang naman I'm not actually absolutely saying na wag na ito. Ang atin lang pag-usapan dito ganito. We have annulment of marriage law. Why do we need divorce bill? Bakit kailangan divorce law? Ngayon, kung tatanggalin natin ang annulment, let's talk about divorce. Pero kung merong annulment, I don't think divorce kailangan pa yan because may annulment. Pangalawa, alam naman natin sa buong mundo, sa US, you can divorce a person in 5 minutes and you can remarry the next minute. Kaya tinatanong ko rin, there are stringent measures that have been provided in the divorce bill na it's almost next to impossible na mag-divorce because of these stringent measures that have been placed there. You see that? So, ito, ang possible na scenario na ibinigay ko kay Congressman Lagman. Alright? Now, we do not want that our laws would be yung mga batas natin mas kakampihan yung you destroy the marriages, but we would like to preserve marriage, no? There are things in the Constitution na kinakailangan siguro baguhin natin if we're going to have a divorce law because it will be questioned in the Supreme Court. For example, like nakalagay sa Constitution that marriage is an inviolable social institution. Ano bang ibig sabihin inviolable? It never be changed, O nakalagay pa that we ought to protect the families, ganun mga bagay, no? So palagay ko mayroon tayong iba na kinakailangan natin baguhin muna before we could be able to put up a real good divorce law in this country. See that?
Well, I can't speak to you about the current draft of Manong Edsel Lagman, but I think during the exchanges between Manong Edsel and Manong Benny, it was also explained that there will be a criteria for anybody who wants to avail of, file for a divorce. But let me speak about 1083, the PD 1083, which is the Muslim Personal Code. No, hindi ho sa amin po, no. Sa amin hindi, you cannot just simply go to the courts or go to any lawyer and then file for a divorce, and then it will be granted, as opposed to what is happening in the United States. No contest divorce. Ours is meron po siyang tinatawag naming 40-day na where mediation happens. Both families of the wife and the family of the groom, wedding na ito, of the husband, discuss things, sort out. Papasok po yung support system doon before they can finally be asked again, magdi-divorce na ba kayo? And the pinaka masakit na tanong is tatanungin yung mga bata, saan nyo gustong tumira? So it's not as easy as filing for a divorce, although we allow that, pero there are legal criteria and requirements that one has to follow, but before the court can really finally grant you the divorce. Hindi po agad-agad yun. I'm just talking about the PD 1083. Thank you.
I like to add na yung bang I do understand the situation that we have today, bang for example, like yung tinatawag natin na yung lalaki, for example, ay gusto nang baguhin yung kanyang gender, things like this, o yung, di ba? Yun ang pinag-usapan yung battered wife, I'm against all forms of violence in the family. See, talagang we understand that. Pero look, the family is not only composed of a husband and a wife, it's composed of children. So anong gagawin natin sa mga batang yan? I mean, ano bang mas mahalaga to preserve to preserve the children in their own lives, being in one family, or to just separate marriages? Ano pang pinakamahalaga dito? The thing is, let us talk about the most important thing that we would like to have, see? Because sa akin, pag nagkaroon tayo ng divorce dito, it would become a cycle, a cycle of divorces in the country, like in America. I mean, today, in America, 6 out of 10 couples divorced in 3 years' time. You see that? And we do not want that to happen to our country. See? Kaya ang ating inaalala dito, tulad ng sinabi sa atin, I'm so glad that Congressman Alonto spoke about the stringent measure that's being done by the Muslims. Meron tinatawag na support system dito. Ganun din ba ang gagawin natin sa divorce bill na ito? Hanggang kailan pag-uusapan ito? I mean, what is a support system na inihahanda ng gobyerno, for example, for the wives and for the husband and the wife to perhaps realize that they should preserve the marriage. And I think that religion should be a part of this. Should be a part of this. Because religion gives the moral dimension of a family, of a marriage. So involved pa rin dito ang religion in a way. See?
Thank you. Let us recognize Tina Panganiban Perez from GMA7 for her questions.
Sir, for Congressman Abante po. Sir, dahil miyembro po kayo ng Ethics Committee at magmi-meet po kayo mamaya, baka po pwedeng bigyan niyo po kami ng patikim ng mangyayari.
Tina talaga, oh.
Mahirap po ba yung tanong?
Mahirap yung tanong na yan. The thing is, oo nga, mamayang alauna, we're gonna have the Ethics Committee hearing, hindi ko talaga alam ang mangyayari, Tina, because we're actually dealing with another member of the House, no? So, tingnan natin mamaya mangyayari, Tina. Isasagutin na lang kita pagkatapos ng hearing.
Sir, hihirit lang ako. Meron po ba kayong mga personal na parameters na dapat na susundin nyo in coming up with a decision? Yung on your own po.
Well, on my own, unang-una, if you are a public servant or you are a member of the House of Representatives, kailangan mag-ingat tayo sa mga words natin when it comes to actually yung bang binabanggit na let us not support the administration anymore, no? Sa akin, medyo mabigat-bigat ang mga salitang ganyan, no? So, isa yon sa maaaring pag-usapan mamayang hapon. Yun na lang muna.
Thank you, Tina. Billy Vegas from Abante Politico. Please proceed with your questions.
Magandang umaga po. Hingi lang po na reaction dun sa naging decision ng COMELEC na bawal na yung substitution due to withdrawal after nung filing ng COC.
Nako, kampi ako doon. Salamat naman at ginawa ng COMELEC yan. Ibig sabihin, talagang pinapakita na ng COMELEC kung kanilang ngipin tukol dito, no? Talagang hindi ho maganda yung substitution, eh. Di ba? I mean, ba't kinakailangan pa yun? Hindi naman kinakailangan. If you really decide to run, well, decide to run. Why would you allow someone to substitute for you? Tatakbo ka, tumakbo ka. Ayaw mo tumakbo, huwag kang tatakbo. You see that? Kaya tumatagal tong paggawa ng official ballot natin. Dahil hinihintay natin yung magiging substitute nung nag-file ng candidacy. Thing is, salamat sa ginawa ng COMELEC na hindi na kailangang hintayin to. Totally tanggalin na yung substitution na yan. Because sa akin, that would not even do well with our people. You see that? I mean, para kang, Abante apelyido ko. Alright, ikaw, Abante ka, di ba? Kinakailangan pa ikaw, politiko, wag kang urong sulong.
Let me add to that. No, I 100% agree with Manong Benny. Just sent to you earlier, no, just a while ago. Ako, I commend COMELEC for this, development. Dahil, legal processes. Electoral processes is in the core of our democratic, system, and it should not elections should not be made as a yung substitution should not have a place, no, yung tactic and the strategy na ginagawa nila we should insulate our electoral processes from any strategy or tactic that would appear as if we are holding a circus, no? Kasi sinusopresa mo yung tao. Minsan sinasabi mo mag-election, tatakbo ka tapos bigla-bigla na lang masusopresa. I think it's also part of respecting the electorate, no? Their right to really be informed of who are the candidates who would run for an office. Kasi kung ikaw po, tama po yung sinabi ni Manong Benny, pag ikaw po ay may desidido ka na magserbisyo sa tao, ba't ka pa magkukubli muna or mag-hide muna, magtatago, no? Just a tactic, no? It's a tactic. Kaya nga nagiging parang circus ang nangyayari. So magugulat na lang yung tao. Rather than presenting yourselves as early as you can, if you really have the intention to enter into public service and serve the people, you must also give the people, allow them to really know who you are. Ano po yung mga experience mo in public service. At para mas scrutinize po nila kayo, para magkaroon din po sila ng well-informed decision pagdating po ng election. At hindi yung magugulat na lang sila sa mga kandidato kasi bigla-bigla na lang nag-iiba ang mga muka na nakikita nila. So I think it's a commendable action, no? It's a commendable act on the part of COMELEC to really finally put an end to this mockery of our electoral processes.
Let me add to that, no? Kasi, alam mo yung, for example, like ako, tatakbo ako, then merong yung kalaban ko, hindi ko alam kung magiging substitute, no? may alalahanin ka pa eh. Di ba? I mean, wala na yung sorpresa. Di ba? I mean, wala na yung drama. Higit sa lahat dito, yung transparency na pwede nating ibigay, no? Kaya ang desisyon ng COMELEC ay isang paalala na sa halalan, hindi dapat gamitin ang loopholes o mga paraan upang manipulate. This is what I think of, yung bang, may manipulation to eh, di ba? Dapat ang alalahanin ng integrity at transparency ay mahalaga sa tunay na demokrasya. Yun dapat natin alalahanin.
Okay, Billy. Related question from Bibian Julio of ABS-CBN.
Follow-up lang po dun sa ethics question kanina. You did say, Kong Abante, na medyo mabigat yung mga panawagan na wag suportahan yung gobyerno. In your opinion, anong klaseng penalty po yung what kind of penalty should this behavior or action warrant?
Yung opinion, teka, baka mamaya ang tawag doon, pag yung opinion ko sundin ng ethics committee, yun na yun magiging sagot, no? Pero the thing is, siguro pinakamabigat na would be, a reprimand or pinakamabigat suspension, di ba? Because he's a member of the bench of the house. See? The thing is, talaga namang mabigat tong aming gagawing hearing mamayang hapon. Ngayon pala naibigatan na ako eh.
In your opinion, hanggang suspension lang po yung pinakamabigat, hindi naman to kick him out of the House of Representatives?
Balagay ko yan, oo. Either reprimand or suspension, oo.
Sa akin lang, just to add to that, I think this is also a lesson, for all of us, hindi lang ho sa isang sektor, pero for all of us, na pag ikaw po ay may nire-representa o lalo na pag nasa public service po ikaw, at saka lalong-lalo na pag you're holding a public office, kung opinion lang pong pag-uusapan dito, walang problema doon eh. We are all entitled to our own opinions. But if somebody ask an institution to withdraw support from a sitting administration, which basically all across the board violates not only that institution's mandate to follow and obey the chain of command, but to a point of provoking them, that would constitute a legal issue, so kaya it's a wake up call to all of us na you are entitled naman to say your piece on certain matters, but to publicly provoke a certain institution to withdraw its support from a democratically elected administration, halimbawa government, that is something that borders legal concerns.
So there's nothing wrong in actually going against government policies eh. Pero yung tinatawag nating withdrawing support from the administration, I would even think that would be for a public servant to say that. Sa akin, that will even go to the borders of unconstitutionality, di ba? So talagang mabigat tong usapin na ito.
Thank you. Next, we have a question from Elson Quismorio of Manila Bulletin. Wala si Elson. O sige, Kat Porbes from Radyo Pilipinas.
Good morning po, Kongs. Recently po, inaprubahan na po ng House Committee on Social Services yung institutionalization po ng food stamp program. Gaano po ba ito kahalaga at makakakuha po ba ito ng suporta po from the rest of the members of the House of Representatives?
Well, yes po. Unang-una, we also have to also have to support this administration's call to really achieve in a society where there's no problem in terms of food, no, sa ating mga kababayan, food security really. And the reason why we're also providing ayuda from the SWD is precisely to alleviate yung ating mga kababayan, no, those who are below poverty line, na nahihirapan po sila sa kanilang pang-araw-araw na kabuhayan at pang-araw-araw po nakita na pwede po nilang maibigay sa kanilang pamilya. The food stamp really is to institutionalize all these programs. No, I think it's an improvement of our ayuda system because it targets specific beneficiaries. It targets specific beneficiaries, and we would have to know exactly how many, yung demography ng ating mga kababayan, kung saan po yung mga nasa low incomers and yung poverty line. So it puts a system where the government can really finally target beneficiaries and then allocate a certain amount sufficient for the assistance to be provided for to this community. So I think yung intention really of the ayuda system is really a recognition na the government needs to work harder and faster and expeditiously to provide assistance to our less fortunate kababayans, and kailangan ma-institutionalize ito. Kailangan may suporta ang government through legislation or whatever forms, no, para po mas solid ang foundation nito at tuloy-tuloy ang pamimigay. Hindi yung mag-iiba yung programa and the next following administration mag-iiba naman ang programa. Kailangan talagang tuloy-tuloy until such time that we can reach a point where food security is no longer a problem in this country.
Yeah, the people must understand yung objectives ng program na ito, no? Because one of the human rights concern namin is rights to food security and right to quality education. So kailangan lang malinaw, no, saan gagamitin itong food stamps na ito. Because alam niyo naman, we have the data of poor Filipinos and we would like the Filipinos to realize, listen, kung bibigay natin ito sa mga mahihirap na kababayan na nag-aaral ang mga anak, and we are going to provide them all of the ayuda that is needed for them to graduate so that later on they could be able to find a job. That's good, no? Because we do not want this to be yung bang tinatawag maging forever na lamang na gagawin natin, no? And if the government will really be objective on this, and then the people will realize the objectives of this program, mas maganda.
Thank you po. Nabanggit niyo po kanina na kasama po sa human rights yung karapatan po sa edukasyon. Yesterday po dun sa ginanap na National Higher Education Day Summit, sinabi po ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos na marami pa pong kailangan gawin, particularly po sa higher education sector. This is after po malaglag po yung mga top universities po natin doon sa 100 times higher education's 2024 Asia University Rankings. Isa po dun sa binanggit niya, from the 84th place po last year ng Ateneo de Manila University, nasa 401 to 500 bracket na lang po siya. So bumaba po. Ano po kaya yung maaring maitulong po ng Kongreso para po maisaayos po itong higher education?
Nakakalungkot na malaman natin na yung bang nangyari, no, na wala tayo top 100. At we commend the President for doing that, and we assure the President that Congress will provide all the necessary means, particularly in putting up a budget for this, para maging mas maganda ang ating education dito, maging quality education tayo dito. At hindi lang yan, kundi magbalik tayo sa nung araw ng ating edukasyon. It's really talagang hinahanap ito ng even the foreigners, no? Dito sa ating bansa.
Magdadagdag ko lang. I share the yung itong balita na ito when the president said that it's very sad to note na we are no longer included among the 100, no, yung survey na ginawa ng Times History Education this year in top universities in Asia. So ako, tama po yung sinabi po ni Manong Benny na apart from providing for the necessary allotment in order to improve our quality education, we also have to look at what are the criteria itong pagkagagawa ng survey, from facilities to faculties to research-based results ng mga ng bawat universities across the globe, no, in Asia, across Asia. So kaya nga po kami dito gusto natin ipanukala, no, Manong Benny, gusto natin ipanukala na magkaroon ng liberalization on higher education, because that's precisely what we're discussing to you in the previous weeks and months. That is the intention of the House, to promote our education, be at par with the quality of education provided for in the universities across Asia. And that speaks really, itong survey na ito, it vindicated the concern of this House of Representatives to really push for the for entry of our foreign ownership in the country, in so far as putting up universities in this country, so that we may also be take hold and avail and capitalize on the possible benefits that it would give us in terms of our higher education system. So it's sad to note na wala tayo. So I think it's time for the country now to revive the issue and the debate and the discussion on how we can fully develop and improve our education quality here in the country. Kasi sabi ko nga, opportunity dapat yung nagkaroon tayo ng discussion about Chacha, itong survey na ito, it vindicated us na kailangan talaga, na it's time really to take hold of the opportunities that is being enjoyed in other countries in Asia in terms of the education quality in their country.
Thank you po.
Totoo yun, sinabi niya. Pangalawa, alam mo naman ng mga Pilipino, may leaks competition yan eh. So I think if we allow foreign universities to come, that will be a competitive thing for our local universities, no. Talagang pag-iigihan nila ito, no. Ganun din, sana maibilik din yung tinatawag nating voucher system ng CHED, no. Sa mga estudyante natin talagang nag-aaral at talagang maganda ang kanilang educational background.
Thank you po.
Thank you, Kat. We recognize Gab Lalu from Inquirer Online.
Hello, sir. Sir, although there are conflicting reports, sabi po kasi nung ating ito coalition, nakaabot yung advance party nila sa Scarborough Shoal. Tapos yung kapitan naman ng isang barko, sabi hindi raw sila umabot. Pero what can you say about regarding the regatta moving towards Scarborough and yung reports na may Chinese blockade dun sa area?
Alam mo, I am actually inspired, no, sa display ng patriotism ng ating mga citizens, no, in doing this. In fact, inisip ko na rin sana I would like to invite some congressman to come with me to the West Philippine Sea, no. Maraming sasama kasi talagang dapat na, no. Kaya ako, ang aking panalangin, sana walang anumang mangyaring masama sa kanila, no. Pangalawa, this is a civilian regatta. Sana naman respeto naman to ng China, no. At thing is, palagay ko dapat na tayo magalit sa ginagawa ng China eh. Sapagkat talagang hindi lang tama yan, kundi hindi lang tayo binubuli, kundi anong tawag doon? Sa buong mundo, paggigipit na ang ginagawa nila eh. I think ginagamit lamang itong Pilipinas. We are just being a pawn in the motive of China to control the international trade, sapagkat more than 60% of all trades and fuel dumadaan doon sa international coastline natin, and they want to control that. Kaya itong ginagawa ng China ito, talagang hindi maganda, kundi ewan ko kung ano pa dapat natin gawin dito. Pero I'm so glad na ipinapakita po ng civilian regatta na ito the concern that we have on the West Philippine Sea.
Idadagdag ko lang po, ito po yung, apart from, nagpupukay din ho kami ito sa mga civilian na gumawa nito. It shows yung malakas pa rin po yung patriotism, yung nationalism sa ating mga kababayan, yung makabayan na sense of makabayan sa ating mga kababayan natin. So, ito'y nagpapakita kung susuporta ng mga individual at ordinaryo na Pilipino sa posisyon ng ating administration, ng ating Pangulong Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos, na pinakita niya sa buong mundo kung ano yung karapatan ng ating bansa over the West Philippine Sea. It speaks about civilian support at nakikisa ang taong bayan sa ating Pangulo. Ito pong issue dyan sa West Philippine Sea, it doesn't have, you don't have to be a public official, an elected or appointed for that matter. It is a civic duty for each and every one of us who calls ourselves Filipino to support this administration in pushing for our rights over the West Philippine Sea. Kasi hindi lang po itong desisyon na ito na protektahan ng ating sobereniya or national territorial integrity ay tayo lamang ang nag-define. Sinuportahan po ito ng desisyon ng UNCLOS, ng arbitrary ruling. Meron po, pag-aari po natin yan. So, masaya po ako dahil nagpapakita po ito yung malakas pa rin po sa ating mga Pilipino, yung pagiging makabayan natin. Pangalawa, nagpapakita po ito ng suporta ng taong bayan sa ating Pangulong Bongbong Marcos. Pagdating po doon sa West Philippine Sea, yung pagprotekta sa ating national integrity, territory, and sovereignty. At nagpapakita po ito na tama po yung aming panawagan dito sa House of Representatives na doon tayo pumanig sa kapwa natin. Huwag po tayong pumanig sa dayuhan dahil civic duty po natin lahat ito. Parati po natin yan. Pag tumatayo sa eskwelahan, sa opisina, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Simulan natin. Pumunta tayo doon kahit takot ako sa dagat.
Gab, no more question. Thank you, sirs. Elson Quismore from Manila Bulletin.
Hello, Kongs. Good afternoon po. Regarding po dun sa case po ni Bamban Mayor Alice Guo po. I think the OSG plans to file a co-warranto case against her. Just your reactions po. Is this the right recourse po?
Ako, we welcome that. Alam mo, malaking garapalan na ito. Itong Bamban Mayor Alice Guo sa kanyang mga sagot. Ito natin maigi talaga pang Pilipino ito. I mean, hindi siya dapat maging mayor kung hindi mapatunayan Pilipino siya. Dapat lamang na tanggalin na ito bilang mayor. Pagkat hindi ang sa akin ang Chinese hindi lamang ang China hindi lamang gustong kontrol ng West Philippine Sea. Pati buong Pilipinas kontrol na even our universities, no? Kaya magkakaroon kami ng hearing next week on this tungkol sa BI and everything like this. So sa akin po yung gagawin ng OSG tungkol kay Alice Guo, maganda po yan. And I hope that pwede naman itong tanggalin na ng DILG kung kinakailangan, kung talagang merong batayan na kanyang pagtanggal. Hindi na kinakailangan pang i-delay ang pagtanggal nito. See? Dapat lamang na gumawa na ng paraan para itong mayor ng Bamban, Alice Goo, matanggal na at hindi pa marisan ng iba.
Well, ako naman po, sa position po na ang decision ng OSG na mag-file ng co-warranto, ang tingnan po natin yung basis kung why the OSG, yun po yung kanilang direction. Unang-una, to protect, kasi well-connected po ito sa electoral processes natin, hindi ba? Kasi sinabi po sa Saligang Batas, pag natural-born citizen ka, di ba, isa yun sa mga requirement kung paano ka mag-hold ng isang public office, especially if you're elective positions. No? Nais ng OSG na maprotektahan yung ating electoral processes na open lang ito sa natural-born Filipinos. No? Pangalawa, ang issue po nung dito sa mayor po na ito, hindi ho niya ma-provide yung mga documents na hinihingi po sa kanya. 17 years, I guess, no? 17 years in the country. Ang sabi niya, registration. Alam niyo po, sa late registration, para kumuha po kayo ng birth certificate, marami po yung itatanong sa'yo, marami po yung proseso. Kailangan mong dalhin yung mga kapitbahay, mag-testify, nanay mo, tatay mo, para ipaprove talaga na ikaw ay pinanganak dito sa bansa at ikaw ay natural-born Filipino. Base po dun sa mga sagot niya during the committee hearings, hindi po niya matandaan eh. Ako personally, I would, pinaka-importante po sa buhay ng tao, aside from pagpapakasal, kasi napag-usapan natin yung divorce, ay yung kumuha ka ng iyong citizenship. Hindi yan madaling makalimutan. Kasi sa sobrang dami po na requirement na hiningi sa iyo ng local registry mo. Hindi ho yan makakalimutan. Baka makalimutan, imposibleng makalimutan ng kapitbahay mo na dinala mo doon. So I don't buy that reasons na hindi niya matandaan na nakalimutan niya agad-agad. It's just it shows that how serious na our government really in protecting our electoral processes, na hindi maging mockery at hindi maging katawa-tawa, no. Ako po I agree with the direction that is now being taken by the OSC, because we also have to protect, no, yung right ng mga kababayan natin na bumoto sa kanilang kapwa Pilipino, kasi nasa constitution na po yan. But ako may personal din ako na issue eh. Beyond the concern the concern with the mayor of Bamban, Tarlac. Tingnan din natin ang proseso natin sa mga local registry, because as a public accounts po ng Committee on Public Accounts, which chaired by Congressman Stephen Paduano, si Manong Caraps, ay the same cases ang lumalabas. Para bang ang bilis makakuha ng citizenship yung mga dayuhan dito. And mostly these are Chinese individuals. Many of them even involved in mga krimen, no? May mga kaso po sa NBI, ini-investigate sila. Similarly, although it is a separate cases altogether with the mayor pero makikita mo, kailangan talagang ma-review din natin yung proseso ng local registry natin doon sa pag-file, pag-avail ng citizenship all the way to the PSA. So I think kailangan din ho natin makita yun just to ensure na unang-una hindi po tayo malusutan at mapadali yung pagkukuha ng citizenship dito sa bansa na ito. Ako, may personal ako na experience, idadagdag ko lang ito. Pag ako yung birth certificate ko po, Manong, may kunting typographical error. Kailangan pa ako pumunta ng korte. Ang haba ng proseso, tapos ipapublish pa yan sa local news. Tapos ito sila, ang dali-dali lang nila nakakuha. I mean, 17 years ka na sa bansa, pinanganak, tapos hindi man lang naisip ng magulang mo, nakuha ka ng... Asan siya nag-aral?
Hindi ko maalala.
Asan siya nag-aral? Paano siya natanggap sa eskwelahan? Kasi kailangan ng birth certificate bago ka mag-aral eh. Sinasabi ko lang, sa isang Pilipino na natural-born Filipino na dito talaga pinanganak, dahil may birth certificate, typographical error, ang hirap at ang tagal ng proseso. Pero sa iba, ang dali-dali lang. So, kailangan din ho natin ma-review itong guidelines nila at saka mga policy nila sa local registry papunta po ng PSA.
Thank you po.
Thank you, Elson. Red Mendoza para Manila Times.
lasa lang po on my end. Kung Benny, ask ko lang po kung kamusta na po yung planong investigation ng about doon sa gentleman's agreement. Meron na po bang schedule po ba yon, or are we going to push for the investigation ng gentleman's agreement na lang po sa next regular session pag nag-resume po tayo after Luzona?
Palagay ko, kasi 1 week na lang eh. 1 week recess na kami at maraming investigation next week. Palagay ko, pagkatapos ng SONA, baka talakayan na yung gentleman's agreement na yan. Kung meron man, no? Ang gentleman's agreement.
Kasi po I asked nga po about dun sa Makabayan regarding their comments nga po doon sa sinasabing wiretapping, yun sa di umanong conversation daw regarding dun sa agreement daw ng isang admiral daw natin and the Chinese embassy, kasi meron pong calls, or I think si Secretary Anya yata nagsabi na we should expel the Chinese diplomats because of the so-called wiretapping. Ano po ang inyong thoughts po doon sa calls to expel Chinese diplomats?
So ito lang, my own opinion, no? Matagal na dapat nating expel yan. I mean, saan ka nakakita ng Chinese diplomat na masama palagi sinasabi sa Pilipinas? You're a diplomat, di ba? I mean, dapat maganda palagi sinasabi mo eh. Pero whenever he would speak, he would always speak against our policies, against what we want, no? Ano naman, kung diplomat siya, ang gagawin niya parang parang shuttle yan, yung shuttling between China and the Philippines, no? That is the work of a diplomat. Pero hindi eh. This Chinese diplomat is saying things against the Philippines. So dapat talaga i-expel na yan, no? My own personal opinion.
Ako naman, may anti-wiretapping batas tayo atad sa bansa, di ba? Even ang korte, hindi nila tatanggapin ng ebidensya if it's illegally acquired through wiretapping. Hindi ko po pwede yan. Ako, kung sino human yung nagsusulong dyan na imbestigahan yung wiretapping, dahil unang-una, diplomat ka eh. Tama nga po yung sinabi ni Manong Benny, pag diplomat ka, you have to present yourself diplomatic. Why do you need to tap, ano ang intention mo doon? Of course, ang intention mo doon is to, ito ang ginagamit natin, espionage, di ba? Bawal po yan, illegal po yan sa atin. So I think, apart from what Manong Benny said, na pag diplomat ka, you have to be diplomatic, even in the way you act, the way you speak. Pero if you are there and then you demean the country that you are, that the country is hosting you, in order to promote a harmonious and relationship between your principal country and the one that is hosting you, I think there's something wrong with you. And on the part of the on our country, I think it's better also that we can ask China to send a better one, rather than instead of promoting a healthy relationship with China, between our country and China, because I believe ang dami ho nating bilateral agreements with China, trade, etc. Hindi lang ho ang usapan dito between China and the Philippines is ang West Philippine Sea. We also have to look at the trade kasi ang dami po, malakas po ang trading natin, treaties natin with China, bilateral agreement. Instead of that, promoting that and ensuring that these two countries have a healthy working relationship, sinisira mo by means of illegally wiretapping information that is classified and that can also be of national interest, or classified information that really preserve our national interest. So I agree with Manong Benny said. Maybe China can send us a better one.
China yata is our #1 trading partner, di ba? Oo. Siguro itong itong Chinese diplomat na ito, hindi naman ito kumuha ng foreign service, kinuha ito IT technology. Oh, baka mamaya general pa yan ng PLA eh.
Thank you, Red. Earl Tobias from IBC 13, please go ahead with your question.
Good afternoon po, Kongs. This one is just for, I guess, for the sake of the public lang din when it comes to divorce. Bilang ibinababa na rin natin sa tao and there's diverse opinions po, no? what's the benefit and what are the risks na niraran po ba natin pag sinabi natin na ang isang pamilya ay mag-undergo ng divorce? So perhaps we can paint a picture po for the public.
Well, we know that the Roman Catholic Church has a canon law on annulment of marriage. Yung annulment of marriage na yan, we actually took that from the Roman Catholic Church canon law and put that in our own law. Annulment of marriage, no? Alam natin na napakahirap masalimuot kumuha ng tinatawag natin annulment, no? Bakit mahirap? Bakit masalimuot? Bakit ganun? Bakit kahit na yung ating divorce bill, very stringent ang measures niyan? Sapagkat alam natin that hindi palaging maganda sa isang pamilya na magkahiwalay ang mag-asawa. Alam natin yan eh. Di ba? Bakit meron tayong support system na ginagawa natin lahat ng bagay para sila magkasundo uli? Because we know that that when we destroy families because they are separated, it will affect hindi lamang yung mag-asawa, kundi yung mismo mga anak. It will affect other members of the family. It will affect yung mga paghahati ng mga ari-arian. All right. Yung mga bagay na yan, no? Kung halimbawa, naghiwalay silang mag-asawa, nag-asawa uli itong lalaki o babae, magkakaanak uli yan, no? Magkakaroon ng emotional and social tension among the family members. So sa akin, the risk is greater than the solution for that divorce. Kaya sa akin, kung hindi natin kayang pigilan, anyway, meron na tayong annulment of marriage law. Kung nais natin ang divorce law, tanggalin natin yung annulment of marriage law. Tanggalin natin yan. And let Congress, kung halimbawa, karamihan ng congressman natin gusto ng divorce, then let us have a divorce law without the annulment of marriage law. Ayaw natin na magkaroon tayo ng maraming batas na siyang sumisira sa pamilya, actually.
So on the other side, ano yung benefit? Parang nabanggit sa plenary session kagabi, no, na isa nga yung liberalization at panibagong chance na binibigyan na option doon sa side naman na magiging disadvantageous naman for them na may iwanan sila for the separation. So sir, ano bang malinaw or simplified term kung picture bala ng benefit naman na makukuha ng isang tao kapag kumuha sila ng divorce?
Well, yung sa current proposal naman ng bill na to, hindi pa, may period of amendment pa, no, Manong Benny? May period of amendment. Pwede pa siya ma-improve kasi you're talking about specific na mga concerns, no? Yung sa pre-propose po na bill ng divorce is it's just simply to make it less costly kasi sinabi ko po kanina yung sa annulment medyo nagtatagal at medyo mahal yung binabayad po. So in this case, meron pong may assistance po ang government na mag-avail, no, nag-file sa family court ng divorce, no. Shorter siya and then mas less costly and yun po yung but doon sa other concerns, kung anong pag naghiwalay na yung mag-asawa, ano yung magiging support dun sa mga bata, I guess, in other countries, there's such thing as alimony, no? Nagpo-provide po yan, yung father ng alimony dun sa mga bata. Kaya nga po sinasabi ko, ito pong usapin ng divorce, meron pa siya pong period of amendment. Kaya nga po, nung ako po yung nagtanong din, kay Manong Edsel, kay Representative Edsel Lagman, nag-signify na nga ho ako ng aside from my support, nag-signify din ho ako ng mag-introduce po ako doon sa period of amendment para ma-improve pa. Lalagyan po natin ng support if ever na masabatas na po ito na hindi lang magdi-divorce ka tapos papabayaan mo na yung anak mo bilang isang tatay, you have to continuously provide. Number 2 is kailangan hong merong support mediation, assistance, support system from the immediate families of these couples. Kasi yun po yung practice namin sa under the Sharia law, na pag maghihiwalay po yung dalawa, hindi ho sila totally paghihiwalay na. Meron po talagang way na papasok yung mga anak, papasok yung nanay, tatay ng mga para immediate. Kasi ultimately the judge would only grant you the grant you divorce once all other avenues have been exhausted. Para ma-prove po na talagang incompatible talaga kayo. Kumbaga, irreconcilable talaga. So you have to prove that, the term irreconcilable. So that's the only time that the judge can grant you divorce. If you can fully exhaust all possible means to keep the marriage intact. So ganun lang ho yung i-introduce ko. Anyway, hindi pa po tapos yung final version ng batas na ito kasi may period of amendments pa.
Ay, yung benefit ng divorce, makakapag-asawa ka uli.
Thank you.
Last na lang, sir.
Sige, go ahead there.
Sir, last na lang. I understand marami pang period of amendments kung saan marami pang pwedeng mabago, no? Pero as of now, bilang pinafront natin na it will be much less costly, meron na po bang number as of now kung how much would it be much cheaper po?
That would depend on the IRR after the bill has been finalized and approved, and then maybe it follows the implementing rules and regulations kung magkano. But hindi ko pa nakita yung specific ng mga monetary assistance doon I have to review pa the bill. Pero nandun naman dun sa isa sa mga pinapanukalang provisions doon sa batas is to magkaroon ng assistance doon kasi nga based on experience, medyo mahal yung pag-anal.
Nakikita ko, matagal din Matagal din, saka mahal din. Kasi masyadong stringent ang measures Yung annulment of marriage to, isa lang psychological incapacity. Although, nag-rule ang Supreme Court na yung hindi na pwede yung mental lang psychological incapacity, di ba? I mean, kaya dito sa divorce bill na ito, nakita ko rin ang napakaraming stringent measures ang nakalagay, provisions na nakalagay. Kaya hindi rin magiging madali Hindi rin magiging madali. At pag hindi magiging madali, mahal din yan
Thank you. Phone-in question from Isa Abendaño Omali, who is now on standby for newscast. For Kong Benny, of course, Kong Zia can also share your view, sir. Despite ng mga hakbang para mapigilan ang krimen na may kinalaman sa Pogo, patuloy na nakapagtala ng mga kaso at issue. Dapat na bang magdesisyon si PBBM na tuluyan ng iba ng Pogo?
Palagay ko, ang ating Pangulo ay nag-rule na iba ng Pogo. Kinakailangan na lang sigurong kausapin ng PAGCOR tungkol dito. Sapagkat ang PAGCOR pa rin ang merong karapatan na magpatupad ng Pogo natin. But the fact that the President has already ruled na iba na yung Pogo sa Pilipinas, dapat talaga iba na yan. The thing is, meron pa rin tayong mga illegal na talagang nagpapatakbo ng Pogo dito sa ating bansa.
Ang Presidente naman, he has access to all this information and data, no? So ang palagay ko kung yun ang naging decision ng ating presidente, it's because he has seen yung data in terms of crime rate relating to Pogo workers in the country. Ako, ang position ko lang naman talaga, we will support the president. I personally will support the president for whatever decision he makes in relative to keeping our streets safe. Yun naman po ang So I think the decision of the president is based on the actual data, empirical data that was provided to him, na may mga activities or mga crimes relating to Pogo. Kung hindi ito makakabuti sa atin, why keep it, di ba? Parang ganun lang So tama po yung sinabi ni Chair Manong Benny. I support the president on his decision to abolish the Pogo system.
Thank you, sirs. Another phone-in question. Last question for today from Lenes Capanti of GMA Online. For Kong Sia, Kong Benny, you can also give your views here. Ano po ang update sa Marawi Compensation Law? Magkano nang nadiskubre, ilan na po ang nabigyan, ilan na po ang kailangan na budget to cover everyone who is qualified?
Well, yung sa compensation board, meron silang 2 billion initially na budget for the releasing of actual compensation packages. May 3 kategory po yan, structural damage, yung death claims, yung pang-capital po ng mga businesses, and yung mga private houses. So sa ngayon, ongoing po yung vetting processes ng MCA, ng Marawi Compensation Board. Sila po yung tumatanggap ng mga claims. Umabot na po sa pagkakaalam ko, based on the latest joint committee that we had, umabot po ng mga 2,000 claims already verified. The problem is you have a verified claimants, but the fund is not really enough to cover. I'll give you an example. May eskwelahan po dyan na dahil private school nasira at yung mga namatay ng kanilang mga teachers, pwedeng umabot po yan ng mga 70 or almost 100 million pesos. Isang school lang po yon na claim. So, kung titingnan nyo po, ang total na area na nasira is 24 barangays. No? At least completely destroyed. Completely destroyed. Lahat po yan magki-claim. Lahat po yan nag-file ng claim nila. So, talagang kailangan po ng budget na allotted, at least hindi bababa, para sa akin, hindi bababa po each year ng mga hindi bababa ng 5 billion pesos para at least ma-cover more substantially the portion of claimants under the structural damages claim. Meron ding portion na mabigyan mo ng packages, compensation packages under the private-owned businesses. And kasana po yan yung mga eskwelahan and yung mga death claims. Sa ngayon, substantial na po ata yung percentage na nabigyan nila ng mga death claims kasi naumuna po sila doon eh. Then they move to the structural damages. So tuloy-tuloy po yan nung last month ata nagkaroon sila ng payment, no? So ngayon pong I think this month or next month ata magkakaroon din naman ho kami ng joint committee hearing para ma-monitor kung ano yung progress po diyan sa baba. But ultimately the point of contention really is about the budget. Kasi doon talaga nagkakaproblema. 5 taon lang po yung lifespan ng Marawi Compensation Board. Kung medyo kunti yung percentage na nababayaran dyan, ang fear ko is baka umabot ng dekada bago natin makompensate lahat ang dapat na pagbigyan. So I think magmamatter po talaga yung dedicated na funding and yung amount kung magkano po ibibigay natin sa kanila. Personally, I would say 5 billion, hindi bababa, it's reasonable enough.
Thank you. Before we end the press conference, do our honorable speakers have any closing remarks to share?
Well, una-una, I'm so thankful that we're able to really come together